Hello everybody, this is the D-Man here, Derek Barrett. Just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. This is my first thought to ponder for 2016. Hope you all enjoy it. For this year, I added a new thing. Well, actually I added it back in December with my last one about, the Steve Harvey and the Miss Universe thing. Basically, people, in the news, who basically have a Florida Evans moment. Matter of fact, there has been one person right now that's actually gotten their Florida Evans moment. And that person is Dexter Manley from WUSA. He's a sportscaster. He's a sports Dexter Manley. He's a sportscaster, former NFL player. He played over a decade of football, most of them with the Washington Redskins. Won 2 Super Bowl rings. But anyway, he had this particular moment right about the time, not just recently. I say about somewhere between the first and second week of this month, in January, where he basically just talking about black quarterback. And take a look.
Robert, as a quarterback, most of the black quarterbacks, they like running because they're probably used to running from the laws. And so I think more importantly is that this guy's gone through his progression. He just plays well. I made a comment about this black quarterback stuff. I do apologize, and I say some things that I don't think about sometimes.
Excuse me, can you cue the dun 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 and Miss Evans, please? Thank you. Down. And there you go. There you go. Yes. Why was this a Florida Evans moment? Well, I will tell you why, people. See, Dexter Manley is a former pro athlete. Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Washington Redskins. I mean, he's a defensive end. He's a defensive linebacker back in his day, back in his prime. And yeah, he was basically paid to take quarterbacks out. Basically stomp them in the wine, So I kind of understand, at least from a professional point of view, that he may not respect quarterbacks so much because he get paid to knock them out. Knock them, take them down, tackle them, sack them. I can understand that part, but to say what he said about black quarterbacks, that say they don't they do more scrambling than passing, like they're running from the police. Yeah, that you kind of went over the edge. Now, granted, I know this is their job. I know it was his job to sack quarterbacks. But come on, man, he's the last person to talk about black quarterbacks. Why, you may ask? Well, it's because of this. Back in 1989, about a year or two after he won his ring, Super Bowl ring, for Super Bowl 22, he basically admitted that he was functionally illiterate. Basically, he couldn't read. He went through high school and went through college without being able to read. Now, how does that happen? Now, how is he able to function? I'm still trying to figure out, how are you able to function in college? How are you able to function in high school and college and then into the pros? How are you able to pay your bills, and not be able to read? I mean, maybe this is me because I'm a nerd. I've been a nerd all through. I mean, before it became cool to be a nerd. Now, before the Big Bang Theory came out on television, I don't know how that happened. He wasn't able to. I still don't know how, because the generation before me, we were told to get our education no matter what. Not being able to read is almost like not being able to breathe. And maybe to a certain extent, I kind of took it personally myself a little bit, and And for some reason, I'll just get into it. I'll just say this. After I finished my first year in college, I had a trouble with some classes, mostly math classes, and it got so bad. It was a progress report. It wasn't exactly the true. It was like the midpoint. It wasn't exactly the report card, but it was like a progress report, like the mid part of during the middle of the halfway point of the semester or quarter, and it said I was in scholastic probation, so I had to bring my grades up. I don't know how the word got around, but this some dude, right, made a slight remark about my grades, and basically he said to me, "Hey dude, you look like you graduated from the Dexter Manley School of Learning." Was I ticked off? Yeah, I was furious. Incredibly furious. But since the guy was bigger than I was, and I'm not the most violent person in the world, I basically came back with, well, yeah, that is better than being a graduate of the Isaac A. School of Cosmetology. He was bald, by the way. He was bald. Now, granted, there were some people, a few of his friends laughed at the rough remark he said about me, but there were a whole lot more people laughed at what I said about him, right back at him. Because why? Because they never seen my grades, but they have seen his hairline. Let me tell you, if you're a 19-year-old freshman and you have the hairline of George Jefferson, people are going to talk. And needless to say, long story short, he never said anything about my grades ever again. And I graduated, so obviously I built my grades up. Why did I say this? It's because of this. Around about the time, well, before Dexter Manley confessed that he was functionally illiterate, wasn't able to read. About a couple of years earlier, Nightline interviewed this guy named Al Campanis. And Al Campanis, he was, I think, the general commissioner, general manager. He had a high office position, I think, for the LA Dodgers, Los Angeles Dodgers, Major League Baseball team. And I think Ted Koppel or somebody, whoever was hosting Nightline at the time, the person asked Al Campanis, why are there any black coaches or even owners in sports teams like Major League Baseball and the NBA, National Basketball Association, or pro football, the NFL, and but sticking with baseball, Al Campana said that the reason why you don't see any black managers, well, basically, which is a name for basically the head coach of a baseball team. He's not called the head coach; he's just the manager. And basically said, African Americans don't have the mental faculties or the capabilities to lead a team, be a coach. They're not saying black folks are not smart enough to coach a team or to own a team, and that's just not just in pro baseball and Major League Baseball, but also in the, I guess, other pro sports too, like pro team sports like the NBA or the NFL. And going back to NFL, you could probably expand that to quarterbacks as well, because you didn't see that many black quarterbacks. And the only two quarterbacks at that time, well known at that particular time in 1987, were Warren Moon, who played for the Houston Oilers, and Doug Williams, who used to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then later on, he went to the Washington Redskins, Dexter Manley's team. And which, around about that same season, about 9 months later, Doug Williams became the first black quarterback to go to the Super Bowl. And also the first one to win as well, when they played against the Denver Broncos. And people thought that, a black quarterback wouldn't be able to do it. And John Elway was, well-touted quarterback, very skillful quarterback. They were behind 10-0. Those who weren't around, those who weren't alive to see Super Bowl 22. Basically, Washington was behind 10-0, and Doug Williams was hurt. But then he later came back in the game And they came back and beat the Broncos. They practically slaughtered them 42-10. It's like they were in the lead. The Broncos were in the lead 10-0. And then when Doug Williams came back in the field after he was hurt, they didn't score another point. And basically that was like a Jackie Robinson moment. I mean, that was really huge news. You know, especially Doug Williams, who's the very first black quarterback to take a pro football team, NFL team, to the Super Bowl and win, mind you. He had to win, because if he lost, we would never hear the end of it. People would have proved Al Campanos was right, you know, and that's the reason why I was so ticked off about Dexter Manley saying that, because, dude, why are you going to make fun of black quarterbacks? I mean, especially when you played under one, Doug Williams, to the Super Bowl. Your second Super Bowl ring was because of him, you know? Why are you going to talk about black quarterbacks like that? Although you said it in tongue-in-cheek, it kind of makes those so-called football experts right, that saying that black athletes don't have the mental capacities outside of sports to be a coach or to own a team, or in the particular case in football, be a quarterback. You see what I mean? You see what I'm saying? That's what I was ticked off about. That's what burned my bacon about. You know, it just gives another fuel, more ammo to these so-called football experts or naysayers or haters or closet bigots, to give them an excuse to think that blacks are dumb or not intelligent, even more so when they're a quarterback. For the record, I will say this though, at least you had enough guts to apologize, to say what you said, and said that you were wrong to say it, and I'll give you that. I'll give you that though. I will give you that. However, I just hope anyone doesn't try to say anything bad about black athletes, because they already think that they already got into college by some type of affirmative action thing because they were able to carry a ball. You know, can they carry a book as well? You know, and then be able to make it to the pros. I mean, it's one thing to make it to college ball. You know, you just got in because of affirmative action or football sports scholarship, not from an academic scholarship, and then you make it to the pros. Like, hey, you're making money now, millions of dollars. Come on, you know, to them, to those so-called experts, it's not fair. It's like, how dare you, make millions of dollars? How dare you make more money than what I'm making? And you can't read, you know? It just adds fuel to the fire, and that pretty much puts a smile on the biggest face. I'm just saying. But anyway, I'm glad Mr. Manley corrected what he did and what he said, and hopefully you don't have any more Floyd Evans moments. Hopefully that's the only one I find this month. I guess outside of politics, of candidates running for president and such. But anyway, that's all I have right now. Please like this video. Please comment on this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel or channels. Please subscribe. Until next time, I'm Derek, straight out of Macon. And that's my thought to ponder. DB out.